Well, it seems the S Pen and the lack of Bluetooth function on the S Pen on the Galaxy S25 Ultra has gotten some traction. The story seems to have some legs. And it's an old newspaper thing, right? If you don't give us anything else juicy to write about, there are column inches to fill, and people are going to focus on whatever they can. I've seen stories on both sides of the spectrum. I have one coming out for Android Police in support of Bluetooth functionality on the S Pen, and I've seen plenty of people, other articles, X posts, everything about people saying, why are you whining about this? It was a feature that a lot of people didn't use. It should just go away. But regardless of how often you used your S Pen and where you fall on the spectrum in the argument, it's plain to see that Samsung made a PR blunder by getting rid of the S Pen Bluetooth functionality this year. If you're going to do that, if you're going to take away a fan favorite function that your diehard users take advantage of, you better do it in a year when you're dazzling us with new hardware, when there's so many new features and functions, and we're so impressed that we kind of do a calculus in our brain. Because people, it's like that Men in Black quote, people are reactionary and irrational, but a person is smart. And people are going to sit down, a person is going to sit down and look at a phone that gives us everything we could possibly want in a device and kind of weigh that against, well, I'm getting all this new stuff over here and I'm losing the Bluetooth S Pen functionality over here, but keeping it the same price. I'm kind of impressed by the new device. You're going to weigh that in your mind, and it's going to come out favorably in terms of whether you're going to buy the device or not. But by doing it this year, on a device with like the Galaxy S25 Ultra, where you're really not dazzling us with anything else, there really isn't impressive hardware to talk about on this phone, then you polarize people unnecessarily. You're taking people that otherwise wouldn't be paying attention to something like that and giving them an emotion about your phone and giving them negative emotions about your phone for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Because when you do it in a year like this year, when you give us a phone like the Galaxy S25 Ultra that doesn't have anything that wows us in any particular way, it just feels like a cost-cutting measure. And customers are not going to take kindly to a cost-cutting measure on a $1,300 phone, whether they use the S Pen or not. It's just going to be a reaction that we have to seeing the price tag, being told that we're losing features because of cost-cutting, and then saying, well, hold on a minute. What do you think the reaction is going to be to that? That's why it's been so outsized, as a lot of people are saying. They're saying, well, if it's 1%, people really aren't using this feature, didn't really use this feature. Why is this getting so much attention? That's why. Samsung didn't give us anything else impressive to talk about. And you can talk about the software stuff all you want. My impressions, my 48-hour hands-on impressions with the S25 Plus will be up on Android Police within the next few days. And I got to tell you, I'm going to reserve my judgment. But the stuff that we were sold on doesn't feel as exciting as it did, at least on paper, as it does in practice. Okay, here's the other thing that I think is getting a lot of the reason why people are having these emotions tied to the S Pen. The S Pen is the last unique feature of the Ultra that doesn't feel curated by Samsung. That doesn't feel like it's something that could have been on another model that was just gate kept so Samsung could justify a price difference between the S25 Plus and the S25 Ultra. If you were to sit there and talk about a $1,000 smartphone in the S25 Plus, there's absolutely no reason why it couldn't have a bigger display. There's no reason why it couldn't have the 50 megapixel ultra wide camera lens that the S25 Ultra does. There are several things that Samsung in the past, the screen was a big one, 1080p for $1,000 on the older models, that used to be a joke. There were several things over time that Samsung has done to kind of nerf the middle child of the Samsung Galaxy lineup to make the Ultra or the whatever it is look better than it really is. So the S Pen was immune from that. The S Pen was something that, yes, we got on this model regardless. It made it feel like the old Note. It made it feel like a phone that was special, and it made it feel like something that was different that you might want to spend an extra bit of money on if you did use that feature and did use the functionality of the S Pen. And you're talking to enthusiasts here. So when you take that away, when you basically mess with the hood ornament of the phone, you're really reminding us that there's really no reason or very few reasons to spend extra money on the S25 Ultra as opposed to getting the S25 Plus if you're really a Samsung Galaxy fan. And that's the bottom line. And that's why I think a lot of people are responding to the S Pen and a lot of people are having a reaction to the S Pen, whether they use it or not. Is there a lot of outsized outcry about the Bluetooth functionality in the S Pen compared to or related to the amount of people that actually use the features? Absolutely. But instead of pointing at us, instead of pointing at the people who are actually taking issue with Samsung, we should turn that around and point at Samsung and ask why that is. Why are we seeing these stories come out? Why are we seeing people have this kind of reaction to a loss of, according to Samsung, relatively minor features in a function we didn't even use? Instead of looking at us, we should be looking at Samsung. And I have to tell you that the Samsung of 10 years ago, the Samsung that gave us the Galaxy Note Edge devices, the Samsung that gave us the original Galaxy Fold devices, would have taken that survey, if it is indeed true, that 1% of people were using the Bluetooth functionality in the S Pen. They would have taken that survey and instead of using it as the first possible excuse to cut costs and cut a feature, they would have turned that around and said, how do I innovate and how do I make the S Pen so interesting that people can't help but use it? How do I make this phone, the Ultra phone, unique again for $1,300? How do I differentiate it even more for the extra money you're paying in the Galaxy lineup? That's what the Samsung that I know and love from years ago would have done. That's the Samsung that you guys out there know and are passionate about would have done. The Samsung of 2025 didn't do that. And I don't even know what you'd add to this. I know it's unrealistic. Maybe you add that IR blaster you've lost. Maybe you give it some air actions tied to DeX. There are so many things that you could have done to this S Pen, but instead Samsung punted and said, you know what, we're going to save the $20 or $10 a unit and take the battery and take the charging coils out of the S25 Ultra. That to me is just a sad commentary on the company itself. And it may be a small thing, but like I said, you're messing with the hood ornament of the phone. And people are not going to take kindly to that, and they're going to have reactions like this. And it's because Samsung gave us nothing else to be excited about on the S25 Ultra. And one of the things you're going to see is a cross-app integration. Big thing that Samsung talked about. All these things that, well, made possible by the Galaxy 8 Elite for Galaxy, or the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, and all these custom things that Samsung worked with Qualcomm on the chip, and we have this cross-app integration. Well, guess what? It's coming to your Tensor G4-powered Pixel phones within a couple weeks. All these fancy things that we're hearing about are either going to come to your S24 Ultra or even earlier Galaxy devices, or are coming to other phones. So I don't want to hear it about all the software. They focused on software this year. Yeah, but everybody else is getting that too. And when other companies focused on hardware as well, it makes it very hard to differentiate this product. And then you put on top of the fact that it's also $1,300. So you're getting a more expensive phone, you're getting less features hardware-wise, and then you're getting pretty much the same software experience as everybody else that has a partnership with Google. It seems odd that, yes, that a lot of these functions and features and new stuff are coming to Galaxy devices first. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if there's some sort of part of that arrangement that they come to Galaxy first, but they're coming to Pixel devices too. So don't think that this is somehow going to be exclusive. And don't for a second fall into the marketing trap that the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, which is different from the other ones that ship in your OnePlus 13 and other devices for overseas. Don't think for a second that that's going to prevent other manufacturers from getting the software features that we're now seeing announcements that are trickling down to Google Gemini on Pixel phones. That's the bottom line. So you can sit there and cry about software all you want. It's not the improvement that you think it is, first of all, using it in practice, but it's also not exclusive to the S25 series. So there's just less and less reason why, whether you're a Samsung fan, not to buy an older model. Galaxy S24 Ultra is getting it. One UI 7 beta is running great on my Galaxy S24 Ultra. So no problems over there. Going to be getting a lot of the Galaxy AI enhancements on your S24 Ultra. Maybe it doesn't happen on device. Maybe that's the change. But I don't know, because you can't tell me that the Tensor G4, that Google detractors and Pixel detractors and Samsung fans jump up and down and say, it's not as powerful. Oh, I need the benchmarks. Oh, I need all this extra power. Well, now it's able to run the same things that your S25 or Galaxy S25 is able to run. So where does that leave you? Where does that leave you for $1,300? And that's why when we go back to the top of the video, that's why the S Pen matters, That's why you're seeing a lot of this stuff that normally wouldn't be getting all these column inches, wouldn't be getting all these videos. All these things are happening because Samsung didn't give us anything else to be excited about. And I would love to tell you that this is the last rant I'm going to have, Samsung rant I'm going to have for a while. But oh boy, we're going to be talking about this phone, the S25 Plus, the S25 Ultra, the moment that mine comes in because, yeah, I don't know. I think you made a good choice if you went elsewhere. I think you made a good choice if you switched this year. I think you made a good choice if you're sticking with your older Galaxy device. I don't care about the trade-in offers. I don't care that you only paid $400 for your upgrade to your Ultra. I think that was $400 that you could have kept in your pocket. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.